10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Remember when you said if you don't vote for Joe, then you ain't black? Wait, what? And some black woman was able to stock the grocery shelf. You remember that? Wait, are you talking to me? And when you said poor kids are just as smart as white kids? Hi, I'm Joe's husband. And remember when you called Robert Byrd a friend and mentor? Is that true? Hey, come on, man. Trump does, he does it, but it's like I would do it if that, so if I, if he doesn't, then what people think if I don't do that, So, that was awesome! Hey, hey, you remember, when you, ended your dad's presidential campaign for an $85, laptop repair bill? Do you remember that? Yep.
God bless America, and welcome to the Jaz McKay Podcasting Extravaganza. Yes, I am back. Hard to believe, but true. Trying to get back into the habit of doing this podcast on a semi-regular basis. Got a lot of health issues going on with the family, so it's been tough to find the time to be able to do it. But I have been doing videos. I have been posting videos on YouTube, and so I'm going to play some of those for you today. That's what we have coming up here on the Jaz McKay Show. But I want to start out with something that happened this past weekend on Saturday. At Emerald Cove Park here in Bakersfield, there was a Trump 2020 rally that was interrupted by a man with a paintball gun loaded with marbles and ball bearings. And he opened fire on the crowd, injuring children. And the patriots there chased him down. They caught him, and they held him for the police. They held him for the cops who were nearby, who showed up and arrested him. We have that video, and I thought we would share that with you to get things started. Then following that, we have a series of videos that I've produced over the course of the past couple of weeks, which I hope you enjoy. So sit back and grab some popcorn and check it out. We'll start off with the video from Emerald Cove Park. That was this past Saturday, where a man with a paintball gun loaded with ball bearings and marbles opened fire on the crowd. He injured a couple of kids, actually. So, Bob, if you will, let's do that right now.
Get his ass! Hell no. Get him! Where's my bitch? Dog! Yeah! Hell yeah! You done, son? Get him! Stop it! Hey son, I got a fucked up leg. Will you run back to that bench and get my shit? That's old boy with the Down syndrome? That's what it is, yeah. That's the one that the chick was talking about. He came running, he saw me hit hobbling.
Alright everybody, so everybody's nice and clear. You see the guy sitting right there. Right there, he decided to shoot people with marbles, and we caught him, and he got dealt with. Luckily the cops were here to stop us, because
started to get dealt with.
He was about to get it worse. He is leaking blood from front and back, but he deserves it. Piece of shit. Shooting kids with marbles. Come on. This is what you guys were standing for? You guys are a joke.
It seems that forever we've heard this election is the most important election in history. That phrase is more true today than ever before. On November 3rd, you'll be asked to choose between freedom and liberty or totalitarianism and tyranny. Between independence and individualism or slavery and oppression. What will become of the United States if Sleepy Joe becomes our president? The Constitution will be shredded, and the Communist Collective will rule over you and your family with the iron fist of intolerance and division. We cannot allow this to happen. We'd like to invite all patriots to join the Trump train Saturday, October 24th at Era Park on Jewetta and Stockdale Highway in Bakersfield. The train rolls out at 11:30 sharp to parade our American pride all over town. Decorate your car, truck, or motorcycle with American flags, Trump 2020 flags, balloons, and banners for this spectacular event. October 24th. Mark it on your calendar and get on board the Trump train. God bless America and death to the New World Order. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Jaz McKay here, and you know, radical left race baiting propaganda passed off as commercial advertising has pushed the envelope completely over the edge. It would be damn near impossible to grind brain-dead leftism ideology into potential customers' faces more obnoxiously than this Vaseline commercial.
To my beautiful black baby, you're being born into a country with history, a history of violence against your skin, where you still have to fight for the care you need. But this moment is a reckoning to change the story of skin. While you're being born, America is being reborn. We're on a 400-year-long journey, and scars don't fade. But neither does hope.
Have we really reached the point that alienating any potential customers who might not believe that America should be burned to the ground by Marxist Black Lives Matter terrorists for being racist is a sound commercial strategy? It is time for Madison Avenue to pull their collective heads out of their asses. And speaking of heads, it's your old pal Jaz McKay shaking mine. Howdy, everybody. It's your old pal Jaz McKay here. And if you were watching last night, the president was debating. It was supposed to be a town hall, but actually it was a debate between President Donald Trump and NBC's Savannah Guthrie in Miami. You might have noticed a lady sitting behind Donald Trump nodding her head in agreement with almost everything that he said. I mean, I honestly, how could you miss her, right? Well, she drove the liberals absolutely nuts all night long, and they were determined to sick the dogs on her. But as it turns out, I think it backfired on them because she's become something of a hero to us Trump supporters, and doxing her has really had no effect whatsoever because she's always been very open about her patriotism and her love of President Donald Trump. So it's not like they're going to embarrass her or get her fired or anything. See, it turns out that the nodding lady, which is how she's been referred to, is in fact an immigration lawyer from Miami, actually Coral Gables, Florida, by the name of Myra Jolly. And she's an immigrant herself from the Dominican Republic. She ran for Congress in Florida's 27th district in 2018 as an independent. On her law firm's official website, it says that Jolly practices exclusively in immigration law, and her specialty is detention and removal proceedings. The profile goes on to say that Jolly is one of the most active immigration lawyers in South Florida and that she has litigated cases across the United States. She attended law school at the Autonomous University of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, graduated in 1989. She was conferred by the Supreme Court of Louisiana in 2001. She's a member of the American and Federal Bar Association. She founded the Jolly Law Firm, her own law firm, back in 2012. In addition to her legal career, she has also won the Mrs. Coral Gables Beauty Pageant in 2015. She's married to her husband, who's also a lawyer. His name is Stephen Beffra. They've been married since 1995. Oh, and Stephen is a former Marine. She's awesome. And like I said, she is a proud Trump supporter. She has campaigned for the president, and she attends rallies and supports her president and her country. God bless America. Now, like I said, she has become something of a hero, an icon to us deplorables, because she's everything we love and admire and respect. She's a strong, independent woman. She's an immigrant. She's a minority. She's a patriot who loves her country. In other words, she's everything that the liberals in this country hate. Now, there were a lot of positive comments last night on Twitter from Trump supporters. Absolutely love the black woman in the background of the real Donald Trump town hall who's nodding along and agreeing with President Trump. NBC obviously made a mistake by letting her in. Oops. This tweet goes out to the woman nodding for Trump. Retweet this so she sees it. She deserves a medal. And these tweets, just examples, just some examples of the positive tweets that were out there last night, applauding this woman, saying, "Hey, man, that's awesome." Because again, like I said, she represents what we as conservatives celebrate about this country. She's an immigrant, a woman of color, and she's a patriot. And these are all things that liberals hate. Like this little thread here. Wow, how can I get paid to sit behind Trump and nod at everything he says? And look at the response. I'm feeling a lot of rage about this. The woman responds, says, same. The woman is nodding at things before he's even finished a thought. It's a psychological trick, and I cannot believe no producer, no camera person, no one is stopping it. They became unhinged. And this Yutz, who seems to think that she was a MAGA plant, not just a supporter, but probably an actual campaign staffer. Heads should roll at NBC. More like heads are exploding on the left. And then you got this kook, man. He was tweeting. I must have counted 40, 45 tweets from him last night, just freaking out over the nodding lady. Journalist, if you don't find out who that woman is nodding behind Trump at an undecided voter town hall, then I don't know what you're getting paid for. And, dutifully, the journalist at the Miami Herald did just that. Yep, within 30 minutes, the Miami Herald doxed her. The Miami Herald, that's doxing is the job of journalists? Then this guy, Tom Nichols, again, he's going nuts, Googling her and researching her, and says that she was a congressional candidate who was endorsed by the local Proud Boys. Now, wait a minute. I thought the Proud Boys were a bunch of white supremacist racists, and they were endorsing a black woman for Congress? Pretty much debunks that whole theory that the Proud Boys are a bunch of white supremacist racists. They're endorsing a black woman for Congress. Jesus. And there were more than one or two responding to Mr. Nichols and pointing out the fact that these people are seriously suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, which is an understatement. In fact, the more offensive tweets I won't even include in this because of the level of racial hatred that was being spewed. You see, the left becomes totally enraged when a person of color wanders off of the plantation and actually starts thinking for themselves, which is the true nature of the left. The fact is, they're no different than their 19th century counterparts when it comes to runaway slaves. They'll hunt them down and inflict severe punishment on them as a warning to others to stay in line and not try to even think about escaping. God bless Myra Jolly and all the other nodding ladies out there for their courage and their bold tenacity. Keep up the good fight. I got your 6. Hey, buddy, it's your old pal Jaz McKay, and some big news came out today from the New York Post. You may have heard about it. Apparently, Hunter Biden took a computer into a computer repair shop in Delaware some time ago and left it. He never went back to pick it up. So eventually, the owner of the shop decided to wipe the thing clean, and before he did, he went through and started reviewing all of the stuff on the hard drive. And come to find out, there were emails that imply that, well, more than imply, actually kind of prove, really, that Hunter Biden had introduced his father to somebody from Burisma, and emails from that guy to Hunter Biden thanking him for introducing. Now, this is important because Joe Biden has denied that he ever had any contact with anybody that had business dealings with his son. This could potentially prove a pretty significant accusation made by folks like Rudy Giuliani, myself, and others about the level of corruption within the Obama administration at the time that Joe Biden was over in Ukraine, interfering in an investigation into the Burisma natural gas company that his son was employed at. Now, why was his son paid $80,000 a month for a job that he obviously was not qualified for? Well, because it gave the executives of Burisma access to the vice president of the United States. Will this result in Joe Biden being charged with corruption and going to prison? Probably not, but that's not the point. I'll get to the reason why this is important. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden going to jail. But first, let's take a look at the video that was released. It's a short video, about a minute long, that was released by the New York Post, sort of summarizing everything in their report. The reason this is significant has nothing to do with sending Joe Biden or Hunter Biden or anybody to prison. Folks on my Facebook page are going, what difference does it make, Jazz? It doesn't make any difference. I mean, he's not going to go. It's not like he's going to go to prison. Look at Hillary. Look at everything these Democrats do. They get away with this all the time. Blah, 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 blah. No, this has nothing to do with sending anybody to jail. You do know we've got an election coming up in just a few weeks, right? This is for the benefit of the American people. Those people who might be considering voting for Joe Biden because they just can't stand Donald Trump. They don't like his tweets. They don't like his attitude. They don't like his swagger. They don't like his hair. They don't like his orange skin, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. The point is that the people need to hear about this. And another reason why I know this is significant is because Facebook has said clearly, Mark Zuckerberg has made it clear, he will delete any post you put up about this report coming out from the New York Post. So make sure you post this video and all the information you can possibly find out about this on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, doesn't matter what, but get the word out to everybody. I will include below links to the various articles at the New York Post website so you can access those, share them all on your social media, get the word out there. This is important. This is about the election. This isn't about sending Joe Biden to prison or Obama or Hillary or anybody else. This is still important information. The voters need to know exactly who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris really are, and about just how corrupt the Democrat Party is. Most of us already know that Joe Biden is a crook and that he exploits his family members in order to monetize his political power. But what everybody didn't know is just exactly how aggressively Twitter and Facebook, as well as the FBI, serve as an appendage of the Democrat Party. The word has gotten around, and by now I'm sure most of you already know that there's a smoking gun regarding Joe Biden's involvement with his son Hunter's Ukraine shenanigans. From the New York Post story that the liberal establishmentarians don't want you to read, Hunter Biden introduced his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, to a top executive at the Ukrainian energy firm less than a year before the elder Biden pressured government officials in Ukraine into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company according to emails obtained by the Post. Now, this is not news to those of us who have been paying attention for the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, we've known about this for a long time. What is news? Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, that the FBI has had this information for over 6-7 months and didn't do anything with it. and also that Facebook and Twitter are refusing to publish it, which gives me an indication to know that they know this stuff is damaging. Now, I didn't have any trouble posting these articles from the New York Post on my Facebook account, but take a look at what happens when I try to put it up on Twitter. At the bottom, it says, "We cannot complete this request because this link has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially harmful. Oh, visit our help center to learn more." Oh, kiss my ass. Harmful. Yeah, to Joe Biden's political career and Hunter Biden's reputation, his stellar reputation. Twitter is actually claiming that they have a policy in place whereby they do not publish stories that have been acquired through hacking. Oh, I think my bullshit detector is going off. Bullshit. Hacking. Really? Jack Dorsey, do you expect us to believe this bullshit, my friend? I mean, did Twitter have any problem publishing stories about Donald Trump's tax records? I don't seem to recall Twitter or Jack Dorsey or anybody asking the question of how that information was acquired. And besides, the Post didn't get this story by hacking anything. In fact, nobody hacked a thing. The computer was dropped off at a computer repair shop. It was never picked up. It becomes property of the guy who owns the computer store. That's the way this stuff works, folks. What I really love about this is the irony of the whole thing. With Facebook and Twitter refusing to publish these articles from the Post on their respective social media sites, they've actually drawn more attention to this story than it would have had if they had allowed it to be shared. What do they always say? The cover-up is actually worse than the crime itself. And really, seriously, I'm telling you, more mainstream media news outlets and local news outlets are actually covering this story from the angle of Twitter and Facebook refusing to publish the stories about it. So it's actually reaching a larger audience than Twitter and Facebook have anyway. And it looks like Twitter and Facebook are going to have to answer questions in front of Congress and explain to them exactly why this isn't a violation of campaign finance laws. So it's kind of worth it in that regard. And if there was any doubt in anybody's mind that all of the stuff that we've heard about Burisma Holdings, about Hunter Biden, about Joe Biden, and all of the corruption and shenanigans going on, if there was any doubt in your mind, it should all be clear to you now. Everything you heard, everything we heard is true, except anything that you heard from Joe Biden or the lamestream media. None of this was ever debunked. None of this was ever proven to be false, ever. There was never an investigation into this at all, other than in Ukraine. There was a Ukrainian investigation into it, but there was never an official government investigation here in the United States into Burisma Holdings and Hunter Biden's employment or Joe Biden's involvement. And quite frankly, I think there's more than enough evidence here to warrant a full investigation, a real investigation, and also an investigation into the FBI and why they have covered this up. We deserve to know the truth about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and what was really going on here. But in the meantime, don't be thinking that Joe Biden is going to go to jail or anybody else is going to go to jail over this anytime soon, because that's just not going to happen. What's most important, and our focus here should be on the election and how this will affect the election in just a couple of weeks. I suggest everybody share this video and any information. In fact, down below, I'm going to put links up here to those New York Post articles where you can actually read all of this stuff yourself if you haven't already. And one of the emails, I think one of the most damning emails is this one. Take a look. This particular email is from Vadim Pozharsky, and he is specifically writing to thank Hunter Biden for introducing him to his father, Joe Biden. Thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. Now, this is important because obviously the meeting happened. This is after the fact. He says, thank you for inviting me to meet your father, the opportunity to meet and spent time together. In other words, this is after coming to, obviously, the United States and meeting with Joe Biden. It's really an honor and a pleasure, he says. As we spoke yesterday evening, it would be great to meet with you today for a quick coffee. So this is April 17th of 2015. He's wanting to meet with, but this is after meeting with Joe Biden. This is after actually meeting the vice president. Now, it's worth noting that the Joe Biden campaign has officially responded to all this and claimed that they went back through all of his records when he was vice president there around that time in 2015, and they could find no record of him having a meeting with anyone from Burisma in the Ukraine. Look, of course not. Of course not. You know, if you got a little shenanigans going on the side, you're vice president. You're not going to log that meeting. You're not going to log that meeting with anybody. So naturally, there's not going to be any record of it. Duh. I mean, Joe Biden's an idiot, but he's not that big of an idiot. There's so much in these articles. It's actually a series of articles at the New York Post, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's another email from the same guy, Pozarski, specifically asking Hunter's advice on how he can use Hunter's influence to benefit Burisma Holdings. I mean, and this, all of this really flies in the face of Joe Biden's claim that he's never talked to his son or has no information, knows nothing about his overseas business deals. Obviously, that was a lie. But again, like I say, what's most interesting here is the fact that there are photos, actual photos, in these articles from the New York Post of a Delaware federal subpoena that was given to the New York Post that shows that both the computer and the hard drive were seized by the FBI, turned over to the FBI in like December. After the repair shop's owner says that he alerted the feds to the existence of this. Now, he did have a copy of the hard drive. He made a copy of it himself, and he said that he did this because, frankly, he was scared. And I'm glad that he did, because just stop and think about it. If the FBI has had all of this information all that length of time, if it wasn't for the fact that this guy saved all of that information from that hard drive, then passed it on to Rudy Giuliani's attorney, you and I would not know about this. We would never have heard about this. But now go back and think to yourself, what was going on? What was happening in this country around December of last year when the FBI got a hold of this computer? A little something called impeachment. The FBI should be answering some questions too. I mean, the timing is awfully suspicious. They get all this information while the impeachment's going on, and they don't bother telling anybody about it. Oh, and speaking of timing, less than 8 months after this guy, Pozarski, had thanked Hunter Biden in that email for introducing him to his dad, just so happens to coincide with the time when Joe Biden, then vice president, was over in Ukraine, and he makes a little phone call, remember, to the prime minister of Ukraine, and says, if you don't fire this prosecutor who just so happened to be investigating Burisma Holdings, if you don't fire this prosecutor, you're not getting that $1 billion in aid.
I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Remember that? Yeah, but we know about that only because Joe Biden's got a big mouth and an arrogant attitude and was bragging about it.
Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It seems that forever we've heard this election is the most important election in history. That phrase is more true today than ever before. On November 3rd, you'll be asked to choose between freedom and liberty or totalitarianism and tyranny, between independence and individualism or slavery and oppression. What will become of the United States if Sleepy Joe becomes our president? The Constitution will be shredded, and the Communist Collective will rule over you and your family with the iron fist of intolerance and division. We cannot allow this to happen. We'd like to invite all patriots to join the Trump train Saturday, October 24th, at Era Park on Jewetta and Stockdale Highway in Bakersfield. The train rolls out at 11:30 sharp to parade our American pride all over town. Decorate your car, truck, or motorcycle with American flags, Trump 2020 flags, balloons, and banners for this spectacular event. October 24th. Mark it on your calendar and get on board the Trump train. God bless America and death to the New World Order.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Jaz McKay here, and I've got a little quick video that I want you to see, but first we got some business to take care of. Before we go any further, please subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you get notified every time we've posted a new video, which we do pretty regularly.
This legislation applies to future presidents. If a president suffers a crippling physical or mental problem, the 25th Amendment creates a path to discharge the powers and duties of his office. 25th Amendment gives Congress the power to establish how this transfer of power would take place, with a strong role for the vice president in what would happen. Why now? Because this is part of our agenda.
Didn't you ever wonder why was it that Kamala Harris dropped out of the primary long before the first vote was cast in Iowa? This whole thing has been in the works from the get-go. The plan was to get Joe Biden in there, get Kamala Harris as his running mate, and then start floating around that 25th Amendment thing like they're doing now. And bada boom, bada bing, God forbid Trump should lose. Guess what you get? It's President Kamala Harris. Well, the only question then would be, who would Kamala pick to be her vice president? A lot of people out there would say, oh, Nancy Pelosi or AOC or Bernie Sanders. No sirree. You want to know who Kamala Harris would pick for her vice president? Take a look.
California, over Alice. California, over Alice. California, over Alice.
I ain't kidding you, man. You better think long and hard. If you're still on the fence, if you're still one of those undecideds, you better think long and hard about who you're going to vote for come November 3rd. I know about this guy. I know about all these people. They're all from California. Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, this guy Gavin Newsom. I know about all these people. We'll do a video coming up maybe in another couple of days exposing exactly who these people are. But in the meantime, you share the hell out of this video and you think about it. You think about it long and hard. You want to turn the rest of this country into California? I know what California's like, man. I live here. I live in this damn state. And if you don't want to see this cancer known as California spread across the country, you get out there and don't just vote for Donald Trump. You campaign for him, you push for him, and you make it happen, by God. I'm Jaz McKay. God bless America and death to the New World Order. Well, it's Joe Biden's greatest endorsement yet. That's coming up right after this. Before we go any further, please subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you get notified every time we've posted a new video, which we do pretty regularly. Well, now this is big news. In fact, this is great huge and whopping news. In fact, this is epic. And news this great, huge, whopping, and epic deserves a great, huge, and whopping, epic introduction.
The child has spoken.
Yes, now that's what I call an epic introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, enviro-leftist child oracle Greta Thunberg has spoken. Yes, indeed. We must apparently elect Joe Plugs Biden. Otherwise, the world is doomed. Greta, the child oracle, who lives in Sweden, by the way, says she's never, ever endorsed a president before, but this time she's endorsing Joe Biden. Greta tells us that the only way to prevent bad weather from wiping out all of mankind is to elect a senile child groper as leader of the future not-so-free world. I mean, I wonder if Greta has been able to escape Joe Biden's clutches, you know? But Biden needs to take advantage of the child oracle Greta Thunberg's endorsement by getting an ad out there, getting an internet spot. We decided at no charge to you, Joe, because we know you guys are hurting for money. We decided to go ahead here at the Jaz McKay Show and produce an internet commercial using Greta Thunberg. Just for you, Joe. This is from the Jaz McKay Show to you. No charge. No charge.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school. On the other side of the ocean. You all come to us young people. For hope. For hope. How dare you? We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money. You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. In sight. You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. I say we will never forgive you. We will never forgive you. Never. And change is coming, whether you like it or not. We'll be watching you. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing? It's your old pal Jaz McKay, and he's back. I'll explain right after this. Before we go any further, please subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you get notified every time we've posted a new video, which we do pretty regularly. Well, now that sports has been definitively absorbed by the ultra-left as ball players ritualistically bow down to Marxist terrorists as they burn American cities, there's nothing more for Keith Olbermann to actually accomplish over at ESPN. So, once again, he's dropping that whole sportscaster facade and coming out as a straightforward, psychotic, brain-dead liberal demagogue. Olbermann has left ESPN now for the 4th time so he can devote himself to helping Joe Biden get elected by hosting his own YouTube show. He calls his little show The Worst Person in the World, which is kind of appropriate, but I think just Keith Olbermann, douchebag, would be even better. Now, watching the show will not do your blood pressure any favors, but it does help clarify what's at stake if people like Olbermann can exploit the empty vessel known as Joe Biden to secure power in Washington. Watch this clip.
So, let us brace ourselves. The task is twofold. The terrorist Trump must be defeated, must be destroyed, must be devoured at the ballot box. And then he and his enablers and his supporters and his collaborators and the Mike Lees and the William Barrs and the Sean Hannitys and the Mike Pences and the Rudy Giulianis and the Kyle Rittenhouses and the Amy Coney Barretts must be prosecuted and convicted and removed from our society while we try to rebuild it and to rebuild the world Trump has nearly destroyed by turning it over to a virus. Remember it. Even as we dream of a return to reality and safety and the country for which our forefathers died, that the fight is not just to win an election, but to win it by enough to chase, at least for a moment, Trump and the maggots off the stage, and then try to clean up what they left. Remember it, even though to remember it means remembering that the fight does not end November 3rd, but in many ways will only begin that day.
Now, you might notice that Olbermann doesn't say exactly what alleged crimes that Trump and his collaborators must be guilty of, but never mind that. I'm sure they'll find something. I mean, after all, there's no shortage of Leventre Berillas in the Democrat Party. Beria, by the way, for those of you that remember your history, was Stalin's head of the secret police, whose motto was, "You show me the man, and I'll find you the crime." It must make Keith Olbermann just giddy with excitement that Kyle Rittenhouse is already behind bars for the crime of defending himself against Black Lives Matter terrorists who were trying to kill him. I guess the rest of us would have to be imprisoned on openly ideological grounds, right? It's like Dennis Prager said recently, it's hard for we Americans who have never spent any time in a country like the Soviet Union to fully comprehend just exactly how intolerable life is under totalitarianism. Nor can most of us wrap our heads around the United States becoming that kind of country in the near future. Which is why I want to show you this clip from Dennis Prager as he tries to answer a question from a young woman named Maria who escaped from Venezuela. She asked him, how do I explain to my fellow college students exactly how bad things are in communist countries?
When I was 21 years of age, I went to the Soviet Union for a month. I spoke to dissidents, people who did not like communism. It was a very difficult 4 weeks. One of the reasons I was actually sent there, I was sent to help specifically Jews to get out who wanted to leave and to bring in religious items for those who wanted to be able to practice their religion there. I came home and I began lecturing at the age of 21. I have a very strange life. I realized that American audiences did not understand when I spoke about totalitarianism. And I realized that the opposite was also true, because when I was in the Soviet Union and I would speak about freedom, Soviet citizens would often say, "Нет, это анархия." Said, what you're describing is anarchy. That people could say whatever they wanted struck Soviet citizens as incomprehensible. You can say anything you want in America? That's anarchy. So they didn't understand freedom, and Americans didn't understand totalitarianism. This seems to be a limitation in most humans, not all, in understanding circumstances they have never lived under. I felt I was able. I was not shocked by the totalitarianism I experienced in the Soviet Union. I had an understanding of evil at a very young age, even though I didn't experience it. But apparently, a lot of people either don't want to or can't, and it's almost the same thing. So when you describe Venezuela to them, under Chavez or under Maduro, they understand the words, but they don't understand what you're saying. And if they do, they don't think it could happen here. We'll do socialism right. That's what they say. All these Marxist regimes, they got it wrong. Or even we'll do communism right. It's very hard for you to explain to people. And you can tell them, I wish you would visit Venezuela for a week. I said it at the time, I wish every Soviet citizen could come to America for a year or 6 months, and every American could go to the Soviet Union for a year or 6 months, or not even 6 months, 6 weeks. Then maybe Americans would appreciate more what they have here.
Thank you, Dennis Prager, for everything you do, brother. And actually, I'd like to thank Keith Olbermann, too, for making it clear that those of us who reject his communist ideology might very well end up in a Soviet-style gulag or a Nazi-style death camp if the Democrat Party gets their way. And if Biden is elected president on November 3rd and the Democrats take the Senate and maintain the House of Representatives, who's going to stop them? You've noticed, haven't you, that the Democrats haven't been screeching on and on and on about gun control lately. What's that tell you? It's a sure sign that gun confiscation is at the top of their agenda should they win on November 3rd. And they'll do it, too. That way Olbermann and all the rest of his buddies won't have any resistance when they try to load us on the trains. I am so freaking sick and tired and just fed up to hear with the left perpetually passing off this lie that Donald Trump endorsed white supremacists and Ku Klux Klan members, neo-Nazis, and racists when he made comments about Charlottesville in 2017. It never happened, and I'll prove it right after this. Before we go any further, please subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you get notified every time we've posted a new video, which we do pretty regularly.
When he said that Nazis and skinheads in Charlottesville, that there were some good people among them.
Let's set the record straight today, shall we? Donald Trump never said that there were very fine people in the Nazi Party, the KKK, or any other group of white supremacists or racist anywhere at any time. Not in Charlottesville or any place else. No matter how much you liberals want to believe he did, he didn't.
That's exactly what he said. There are people, good people on both sides.
No matter how much the lamestream media wants to believe it happened, it never happened.
And that the president continues to believe, against all the evidence, that there were very fine people on both sides at the alt-right neo-Nazi white supremacist Unite the Right rally that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia 2 summers ago.
No matter how much a diabolical political hack politician says it happened,
He, on the issue of Charlottesville, and Donald Trump, when asked about it, said there were fine people on both sides.
it never happened. And as far as these lying hack politicians are concerned, I would remind you that Kamala Harris, who you just saw right there, has admitted on national television that at least when it comes to debates, you can't believe anything she says. She's admitted that she lies during debates.
How do you go from being such a passionate opponent on such bedrock principles for you, and now you guys seem to be pals?
It was a debate.
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it?
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate.
It's okay to lie. It's a debate. You expect people to lie during debates. What's wrong with you, Stephen? Look, on August 15th, 2017, Donald Trump was holding a press conference at Trump Tower, and he wanted to talk about infrastructure. But the press didn't want to talk about infrastructure. They wanted to talk about a protest that had occurred the weekend before in Charlottesville, Virginia. Here's CNN political analyst and columnist at RealClearPolitics.com, Steve Cortez, to explain what happened at that protest.
A group of white supremacists held a white pride rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. The ostensible reason was to protest the removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. An Antifa group showed up to counter-protest. The mayor and the police were totally unprepared to deal with the violence that ensued. Tragically, a young woman, Heather Heyer, was run over and killed by a neo-Nazi.
And during that August 15th press conference, Donald Trump suggested that there was blame to be shared on both sides of the protest, and he went on to say this.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Now, was Donald Trump actually saying that there were some good neo-Nazis out there, that there were some very fine people on the neo-Nazi side? No, just the opposite. What the press did not show you, what the press did not report, was the comment he made immediately following that statement.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Now, what you saw there was something I call selective editing or selective reporting on just one aspect of a story, leaving out another aspect of that story, that same story that doesn't fit your narrative. So who were these other people that Donald Trump was talking about? Well, let's go back to Steve Cortez and he'll explain.
He was referring to another group of Charlottesville demonstrators who came out that weekend. Protesters who wanted the Robert E. Lee statue removed, and protesters who wanted to keep the statue and restore the park's original name. This is what President Trump said about those peaceful protesters. You also had some very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue, and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Now, so just to make sure everybody understands, let's play that clip where he condemns the Nazis, the white nationalists, the white supremacists, whatever. Okay, one more time.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
It should be noted that the New York Times, no less, published a story confirming that there were good people at that protest. There were good people protesting the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville. In fact, they published that little factoid the very next day.
Good people can go to Charlottesville, said Michelle Percy, a night shift worker at a Wichita, Kansas retirement home who drove all night with a conservative group that opposed the planned removal of a statue of the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. After listening to Mr. Trump on Tuesday, she said it was as if he had channeled her and her friends who had no interest in standing with Nazis or white supremacists.
Now, there's another way that I can prove that Trump was not talking about Nazis when he said that there were good people on both sides. Do you actually think that Donald Trump believes that there are good people in Antifa, the leftist punks who were counter-protesting the neo-Nazi punks? Because if there were only those two groups protesting and the president thought that there were good people on both sides, he would therefore have to believe that there were good Antifa people. And believe me, I don't think Donald Trump thinks there are any good Antifa people, because there's not. Even CNN and MSNBC should have been able to figure that one out. So everybody understands the good people that Donald Trump was talking about that are on both sides of the issue were the protesters who believed that the Robert E. Lee statue should stay, and those protesters who believed that the Robert E. Lee statue should be removed, not the neo-Nazis and the Antifa scumbags. And remember, the scandal of Charlottesville is not what Donald Trump said about neo-Nazis. It's about what the media and the Democrat Party said he said about neo-Nazis. Basically, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CNN, CBS, NPR, The Washington Post, The New York Times, The LA Times, all spread vicious lies. News reporting is supposed to be about reporting the facts, not promoting some sort of a political agenda. I'm not a news reporter. I don't work in journalism. I'm just a tap dancing monkey with a YouTube channel. But I know the truth. And now, hopefully, you know the truth. It seems that forever we've heard this election is the most important election in history. That phrase is more true today than ever before. On November 3rd, you'll be asked to choose between freedom and liberty or totalitarianism and tyranny, between independence and individualism or slavery and oppression. What will become of the United States if Sleepy Joe becomes our president? The Constitution will be shredded, and the Communist Collective will rule over you and your family with the iron fist of intolerance and division. We cannot allow this to happen. We'd like to invite all patriots to join the Trump train Saturday, October 24th at Era Park on Jewetta and Stockdale Highway in Bakersfield. The train rolls out at 11:30 sharp to parade our American pride all over town. Decorate your car, truck, or motorcycle with American flags, Trump 2020 flags, balloons, and banners for this spectacular event. October 24th. Mark it on your calendar and get on board the Trump train. God bless America and death to the New World Order. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the program this afternoon. I certainly hope you enjoyed what we prepared for you today, and we'll be back with us again real soon. I'm going to do my best to try and keep these things going on a regular basis. Keep your fingers crossed for me, all right? We will start back on a daily show here within the coming days, weeks, hopefully. So whatever you do, make sure you get out there and vote. Don't forget, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Please hit that share button down below and share this podcast on all of your social media pages, all right? God bless America. I'm Jaz McKay, and I will see ya.